Hi, everyone, and welcome to our session, The Rhythm of Code, Making Melodies. Today, we're going to explore the intersection of computer science and music. Let's take a minute to look at our objectives today. Build from our previous exercises using binary art and sequence, creating a program to complete a musical tune using sequential steps, and break complex sounds into simple parts to create a song. So we're going to think about all those terms that we have used before: pixel, sequence, variable, loop, and apply them to the music industry. So let's kind of have a moment here, just be creative. What I'd like for you to do is to pick up a pen or a pencil and just a piece of paper. We're going to listen to some music, and as you listen to the music, I'd like for you to have your pen move to the rhythm of the music. Are you ready? You have your pen, you have your pencil. Let's jam to the rhythm of the music. All right, I'm going to pause it here. What does yours look like? Look at mine. It is a big old scribbly mess. But what was interesting is I could feel the rhythm of the music, and it changed the way in which I interacted with my pen. That's the power of music. And it's the power of the sequence of the music, how the notes are put together and how fast or how slow they are, that gives us that feeling of rhythm and gives us that sense of excitement or sadness or upbeat or downbeat, whatever it may be. So you could play this again. This is actually called the flight of the bumblebee. And you can think about how fast a bumblebee flies in order to pollinate. Bit of a science fact there. So let's talk just a little bit about music theory. And that was just to get our juices warmed up to be able to think about adding music and computer science. So what makes music? What are notes? In music, a note is a symbol denoting a musical sound. And a chord are notes placed together. Notes are the building blocks of much of written music. Now, I want you to think about that in correspondence to anything that you might have done in computer science. Think about binary code. Zeros and ones make up the notes of what makes binary code. Those two things together, 0101, create an entire new image or number. That is equivalent to what a chord would be. Two notes together are going to make something different than one note individually. And notes are those building blocks. Think about when you are building something in Scratch, or if you have, when you're using pixels, putting more than one thing together creates a new image. And the same process happens in music. Putting notes together creates that rhythm and excitement for what we know and love with music. Here are a couple of interesting pieces. Just like we learn in computer science, there's some basic chords or concepts that you need to understand. So if you're learning a language like HTML or JavaScript, you're going to learn the basics of a caret. You're going to understand that an image is an abbreviation of IMG. You may take a look at understanding that variable starts with VAR. Remember, a variable is something that represents an item. So a variable could be like X or Y. Here we have notes that make up what is music. This is an example of a piano. And on it, we see there's notes C, D, E, F, G, A, B. All right. So there are several notes that make up 12 notes of music. 7 of them are on the white keys, and then the other are on the black keys. And those are considered sharp or flats. I am not a musician by trade, but I do think it's really intriguing how we're able to see the notes set up on a piano and how when you play a C or a C sharp, how it sounds differently. The same thing happens when you're putting together code for computers for a program. You may insert a piece of code that you want to be animated. You may insert a piece of code that you want to execute only one time. Same concepts here. You're going to put more than one note together to create your chord, just like you're going to put multiple lines of code together to create your application. Let's take a look at what notes look like. A whole note is a circle, and then you have a half note with a stem on it, a quarter note, an eighth note, and a 16th note. Now, we're not going to dig in and become self-made known musicians here, but I wanted you to see how each of these notes is the same thing as if you were writing a line of code. VAR would be VAR. You may have image, IMG for image. You could have STR for string, meaning you're going to put a string of words together. Every concept that we've worked with, there is a similarity between the way it's set up for music, just like it's set up for computer science. This is learning the language of music, just like we learn the language of binary code. So remember, what is computer science? Remember, computer science is the study of numerous processes that interact with different sources of data and information that can be represented as a result in an app, a game, software, or program. Basically, what that means is taking anything that you want to see and placing it into an object like a computer, a cell phone, a gaming device, and that device then you can interact with to create a game. You interact to make an app, a software, or a program. Software would be something like Spotify. That is an app, but it's also a software that you can run on your computer, or Excel, or Google. Any of those, Google Slides is a software. And computer science is made up of algorithms that are closely put together that allows communication to happen between one piece of software to another. When we think about music happens in a similar fashion. There are different lines of code or rows of music that you are going to read, or maybe you sing, or maybe you write, that come together to make a full program. The same concept happens when you're writing lines of code, that all those lines together will create the ultimate platform or ultimate software. Here are a few vocabulary words that we can take a look at. An algorithm, a set of steps to complete a task or solve a problem. An event, an action or occurrence recognized by software. A loop repeats a sequence of instructions until a specific condition is met. Think about this in terms of music. Have you ever listened to a chorus more than one time? If you have, that is a loop. It may say that you want to repeat the chorus 3 times or twice. And in songs, you will often see that a chorus is repeated more than one time because we like, as humans, things in repetition. And remember, a variable is a placeholder for a value that can change. So you can think about if you had a framework for a type of music genre that works every time. A variable may be used to hold different notes or a different rhythm, but the general framework is there. In computer science, we use a variable may change that we want to change the name, or maybe we want to change the value. So it may go from 2 to 3, and that's a variable. So what are we doing with all of this information? We have been creating, or we've taken a look now a little bit about what is music and music theory, meaning that music is made up of notes and chords. And we have been talking about some of the computer science concepts that intermingle. I also want to make note that much of the way music is created now is by facilitating technology. There are many, many applications and software programs out there that allow you to create your own music. You may have a voice recorder on your phone. You may use something like GarageBand, or there are many other music apps that allow you to take the tempo and the rhythm and the way in which you like to listen to music and create your own. That's creating an algorithm. That is a sequence. That's also how you're using variables. You may change the rhythm each time you change your song. So what are we going to use today? We're going to explore something called Chrome Music Lab. And you may have used this already in one of your classes. But today we're going to look at it a little bit differently. We're going to use the SongMaker platform today to create our own music. But I want to remind you of a couple other vocabulary words that we've talked about over the course of our time together. And this is sequence and pixel. In our previous exercises, we have looked at binary code, we have looked at pixels, and we've looked at art and sequence. A sequence is an action or event that leads to the next ordered action. Think about when you're looking at music. One sequence leads to the next. There is usually you have an opening of the song, you have a bridge of the song, you have a chorus, and then you have an end. Just like if you were telling a story, you have a beginning, middle, and end. And the same happens when you're thinking about computer science. You open the application, you interact, and then you leave. Now, the cool thing about this is we've already experienced some with pixels, which is a small element that makes up the color pixels on our screen. They're little pieces that come together that make the fundamental piece of a digital image. Well, we're going to utilize those pixels in a different manner and use it to create chords in our Chrome Music Lab. So remember, a note is a single note, and then a chord is more than one note put together. So you can see down here that I've used a little bit of research to help me create 7 different chords using different notes. So we have chord 1, which is C, E, and G, chord 2, which is D, F, and A. If it's a major chord, it is in white, and if it's minor, it's in gray. Minor's taking it up just a little bit. So we are going to create the same type of imagery on our music lab to then create a song. Now notice here that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have seven chords. We're going to place them out, program them out using pixels, and then you can either repeat them if you want to in a loop, or you could change it up and change your chords around to create your tune. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to come over here to Chrome Music Lab. So you're going to type in musiclab.chromeexperiences.com/songmaker. This can also be provided to you by your teacher. What I want you to notice is in the bottom right-hand corner, I have started with my first chord. Let's go back over here so you can remember what that looks like. C, E, G. And you know what? Let me write this down because I don't know if I'm going to totally remember everything. C, E, G, D, F, A. Those are the first 2, okay? I'm going to come back here. And you can see here that I've created the chord. I've kept each chord in one bucket of a box, and then I moved over to the next so that each chord goes up an octave. And when I hit play, let me see, I may have to close let me make myself just a little bit bigger. Make myself a little bit smaller. I'm going to take my picture off for just a second, and I'm going to hit play. Now notice that it keeps going, right? It keeps going. Now here it comes, and it comes back. Notice the loop. The loop is repeating more than one time. Okay, I'm going to pause here. Now, what we're going to do here now is we're going to add in a bit more. Now, you can come over here and repeat the same action if you want to, and follow the same pattern and sequence and repeat all the way down, or you may like to create your own pattern. Notice that each one of these blocks is a pixel, and those pixels are coming together to create a full song. Again, you're creating the rhythm or the melody together, making a melody, which is really exciting. I'm going to bring my picture back up. So we have created the rhythm of code. You are using the Chrome Music Lab to take pixels and a sequence and create an entire algorithm, which are the steps you take to solve a problem or the process to get from point A to point B, and create your own song. And even cooler, you're adding in a loop and variability based on how you want to put your pixels together or your chords together to make the song. So, rhythm of code, making melodies, couple of keywords, sequence, pixel, algorithm, an event. Oh, an event happens when I hit play. When I hit play on the Chrome Music Chrome Lab, that was the event because that's what executed the program to start. All right. Variables, loop, and remember that a chord is a single individual. A chord is made of a more than one note. A note is one piece, and a chord is more than one note. Have some fun, create some amazing music. One last thing before I exit. When you're ready, you hit save. And when you hit save, you will receive a link that you can now share with your teacher and upload to your Canvas site. Have some fun, create some rhythm, and you know what? Because it is Cinco de Mayo, I would say you might want to create something that has a bit of a flair that represents Cinco de Mayo. Have a great time, and I can't wait to see what you all create.